Here we go. I knew you get me in the middle of that.
Yeah.
And I will welcome any and all public comment, as long as it's unrelated to any of our agenda items.
Jason Duback, Searsburg, Vermont. So we've had this ongoing conversation with these banners.
Why do you have our banners?
Well, I know you think I stole it, but you're wrong.
I'm assuming
If you could not interrupt me, this will go much faster.
okay, I'll assume that.
They're 28 inches by 4 feet 10 inches. I found this one flopping around in the middle of the street on Route 100 near Old Dark Road near the woodshed trailer, and I'm giving it back to you. These are supposed to be professionally installed and professionally maintained. I asked for your agreement on this, and in your Schedule A, it says the entity represents that all attachments shall be placed by qualified personnel working in accordance with the National Electric Code, the National Electric Safety Code, and OSHA requirements, but yet this thing's flying around. So once again, you're going to be responsible for these signs, and this ends up across the windshield. I can't see. And there's a big pile up, but you know, there's 8 of them from heading in from Brattleboro to the light, and there's 6 of them going to Bennington. And you guys should be doing better.
And how many do you think we own?
How many?
We don't own any of them.
Yeah, you got the 501c charity with the Wilmington Works, but then you do own them, and this is just banging the drum for your own thirst trap. I mean, I kind of find it gaudy, like, you know, how many times are you going to say Wilmington?
All right, that's enough.
Well, I'm entitled to my own opinion.
No,
how many times are you going to say
Wilmington? We've had enough of your opinion. Thank you.
200 feet. Well, this is funny because I reported a safety hazard with you before that you ignored until the state told you were wrong and you had to take it down.
You like to talk to the state too.
I do like to talk to the state.
Please, we want to move the meeting on.
Well, get it together. Do a better job.
Jim, nice to have you home, but you know. Okay, Jeff, are there any changes to the agenda, Scott?
No, I have the chief up for comments.
All right, chief.
Well, thanks for having me for public comment. I want to introduce 2 of our newest police department members. John Latakis joins us after a long career, retired from Vermont State Police. John came on in November. Has been a huge asset with his experience and knowledge. And he's a great attitude. So we're really pleased to have John on board. And we have Ethan Crosby has joined us. He's only been with us a couple of weeks. He's brand new to the world of policing. Lives in a nearby town. Has a young family. Just got out of the Army not long ago, and is starting his professional career with us. So we're really grateful to have him. He's been learning for the last couple of weeks, doing some firearms training, basic stuff, but he exceeds the standard already. So we're excited to have them both.
Welcome aboard, gentlemen.
Thank you.
But the state police to hear, you can't get enough, can you, huh?
He's an old beat cop from way back.
Chief, thank you. Thank you very much.
Changes are a request to cater permit for W.I. Foster on 613 at Pickwell's Barn from 5 to 7, a first and third class renewal for W.I. Foster LLC, and outside consumption renewal for Valley Craft Ales. Those are the only changes that I have for you.
All right. All right, so then folks, we'll move on to number 2, approve the minutes of April 21st. May I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second. All right, motion in a second. To approve the minutes of April 21, 2026 as written. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. There's an aye for you too, then. Remember, we have to have all 3 votes here tonight. All right. Scott?
Would you like to open the sewer commission?
Yes, I move that we go into the sewer commission. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. John?
I believe John Lozelle and Meg Streeter are here.
So we have a application, which I believe you have from MoSec and we have there was a worksheet that was emailed to you.
Right.
And then I just gave you an updated one. And it's the same information, but just maybe a little clearer, a little easier to read. So the current allocation of the building on file is the top half of the top third of the worksheet is 1,635 gallons. The proposed new allocation is the lower half of the worksheet. And that is all broken down in the classification. And I've been working with Meg and with Jess Rizzio, who is the engineer with MSK Engineering. And this all came up. The main driving force behind this was the addition of the daycare is expanding, and one of the things that came up was the need for the state water and wastewater permit. And because they're already connected to water and wastewater, they met the exemption rules, which meant that an engineer just had to certify that the infrastructure, the water and sewer pipes could handle the additional flow. So Jess just had to verify that, but she still had to go through, there's some permitting process with the state. So these numbers, this lower half is what Jess has cleared with the state. So she got a letter from me just stating that, we do have the capacity. So OSEC is here to they've submitted an application to ask for this proposed new allocation, which is this 2,967 gallons represents what Jess has certified with the state for the new state permit. And that, I don't know if there's any questions there on that classification. I broke it down on this sheet, so because there's a lot of classifications there, and it would have been pretty confusing on our regular application. That's why I just broke it out on that worksheet.
I have a question.
Sure.
When the school was open, I'm not looking for, this is a very nice presentation, by the way. When the school was open, did they have an allocation?
There was a lot, and in 2017, I believe, OSEC actually relinquished quite a bit of allocation because the bill back then, I think, was like $16,000.
It was almost 20,000.
Almost. So,
And we had one tenant.
yeah.
And so what happened when they relinquished it?
When they relinquish it, they give it up
Surrender it.
and they sign a letter stating that if they ever want more gallonage, they have to come back and repurchase it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good question, though. Yeah.
And they're not compensated for the surrender of the gallonage, right?
No,
They had the gallonage.
they had it.
surrendered it.
And
now they want more gallonage.
and Meg knew this process,
Right.
and
Yeah.
this is
We just didn't have the money.
right. And she knew that this is a good problem to have. This means that the building has been a success.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
So Meg is here to
That's I'm looking to her right now.
right.
So
Yeah.
you're here with the good news.
The good news, yep. And I gave you guys a summary sheet, just kind of, I thought it would be interesting to see where we're at financially and the good news before we ask for anything. This is our top, we've only 10 months through the fiscal year.
Right.
And our income is the highest it's been, just because we're not full by any means, but 3 of the existing businesses have expanded and are paying more rent, which is really helpful and is going to be helpful for the future. Plus, we just have a variety of tenants that I think I said, yeah, we have 12 full-time, many part-time activities, and a lot of free activities, which are concentrated mostly in the gym. So if we are asking for something, which we are, it would be for a break on the gallonage allocated to the gym. We already had, when I think the first breakdown, John, correct me if I'm wrong, because it was sort of all, the original allocation for the school was all lumped together as if, I think there were 217 students and staff, and that was what they were paying for. So I may forget that number or remember the number
Something like
incorrectly, but it was something like that. But it wasn't, it was all in terms of students, cafeteria, gym with showers. I mean, there were all these special things. No one was taking a shower in those locker rooms in, I'm sure, years before it stopped being a school, but definitely we got away from that category when we did the first relinquishment of an allotment. But now that we had the opportunity to have Jess Rizzio as a civil engineer go through all the categories, and we tried to be accurate. And we also, in the increase, we're including some units, I guess is the right total, or gallons per day for offices, or could be artist spaces, but offices that are empty. So we don't have to come back again. We don't think in the near future for spaces that we hope to fill. Most of the gym use, there's pickleball is our own activity, not the town rec program. All the other activities in the gym are town sponsored or town related or school district related. And I gave you the rough outline on how many users there are a week for volleyball, basketball, indoor soccer in the fall and winter. And also senior walking program, 4 days a week. Daycare kids are in there 3 days a week for an hour. And students in the after school program use it 2 afternoons a week. So our feeling is we don't charge any money for those activities, nor do we want to. Pickleball people voluntarily give us a donation of $3 each time they play. I mean, if they don't, no, I don't think anybody's hounding them, but that's become a custom. So we do get some money from that, but we don't want to charge for all these other activities. So we're asking if you would consider not charging the whole new and existing fee for the gym participants, which if we paid it, it would be $4,920, which, John, $10 a gallon.
And we're talking about line 16.
The $492. So happy to discuss it.
Let's talk about the recreation program
Yeah.
that we have obviously going over there.
Yeah.
I mean, with the gym use, a lot of it is
A lot.
probably our rec program.
Yeah, pickleball, let's pretend we're getting money from that, so we're not really counting them, but it
No,
did.
we'll leave the
affect-
pickleball folks. out.
Yeah, so I got the numbers from the coaches, and volleyball typically is 15 to 20 people. Basketball, 10 to 15. Each of those are 2 nights a week.
Right.
Oh, volleyball is now 3. Soccer, less, and that's just late fall, winter, and it's just ski season essentially. And that's about 12 to 15 people per night that they meet, and they meet 2 nights a week. So there's a good amount of activity that involves, probably the number 123 came up. That's when I went through the building with Jess, and we looked at, number of employees and got the information from all the coaches. And that seemed accurate on a busy day, that there would be that many people in the gym at some point. It's not like they're there for all day, but at some point during the day. And that's how she has
Anybody
to.
over there all day, I hope. So
The
John,
workers.
what's your take on this?
Excuse me.
Yeah, I was the one that recommended. I just think that if it's if it's the kids and of the town rec and youth program, I think it's a very good argument that we could waive it.
That's my point. I know don't think we've ever waived one before.
We haven't, but I think if we were going to, to me, that would be the place.
But I look at that, it's certainly cheaper than building a rec center, isn't it, huh?
Absolutely.
Yeah, to me, it's.
I'm being facetious, but yes, you can convince me of that with this.
It's just to come up with that number, I guess.
It's just wonderful to hear the expansion of the gallonage here at this point.
Yeah, it is. And we're so lucky we're in a spot that has town water and sewer. So many, schools that are closing don't have that. They're in a rural
Geez,
location.
we used to have a high school that had that too.
Yeah, true.
Okay, all right. Gentlemen, any questions on this?
I do.
Okay.
Is there an annual fee for the gallonage?
This is a one-time fee.
Just for the lot?
The allocation is a one-time fee. And then we still need to work out, once we do this allocation, Meg and I will work out, which we still need to do an audit of the number of businesses and everything that are in the building. And
So in one of the neighboring towns, they have meters. We don't have meters down here.
We do not base sewer on meters.
But you anticipate that the building will be paying something on an annual basis?
We're paying almost double. Our current bill, I talked to Christine after you and I talked, and again, she said we need to have the specific list of categories, but we're currently paying $4,900 every, is it a quarter? Is it 3 months?
Three times.
Three times a year.
Okay.
So, and it's going to almost double, just as
Thank
our
you.
allocation.
Just
So
trying to
we'll be paying,
Yeah, you'll be paying something.
yeah.
Thank you very much.
And some of this is they're expecting some they're going to be paying for 150 gallons for future use, because they're anticipating they're probably going to be using that. They're hoping fairly soon. So they're actually going to be buying that and actually paying for that
On the bill.
on the
Yeah.
bill
Okay.
right away. So
Got it. Thank you.
Anything else?
I guess the next thing, I mean, if it sounds like, you guys lean that way, the next thing is.
How
come up
much
with
of that,
number,
how much of
right?
that line are you asking?
How much of that 492 gallons?
How much were you asking for, Meg?
492 gallons would be a waiver of
No,
4,000
the total amount is what you're saying.
of,
You're asking for them to waive the total $4,920? Is
Yes.
that what you're asking?
yeah.
So that makes his bottom line, I believe $8,400. When you look at the total allocation fee, that would be $8,400.
Okay.
If you agree to that.
Okay. All right. Would like to make a motion?
Yep.
Tony, you want to make a motion or no?
I don't understand it well enough to make the motion.
Oh, you
John.
don't? Okay, so I will do it. I will
Yeah.
do it, okay? I will make a motion to approve the additional 1,332 gallons per minute for OSEC and waive the fee. The hookup fee.
It's the number 4,920.
It's okay, so it's,
You can waive the fee for gym participants at 492 gallons per day.
okay, so making the total of 840 gallons.
$8,400 is the total.
Unless
you
That
have-
was a little-
Oh,
Unless
the
you-
remaining.
unless you have-
total,
That
yeah.
was a little convoluted, I think.
$8,400 or 840 gallons.
Well,
Yes.
All right, that was satisfying. Okay, all right, do we have a second?
Second.
All right, motion and a second for all those to approve what we just talked about.
Approve.
Huh? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Meg.
Thank you very much.
I just need your signature and I will fill in those numbers right here.
So it's to approve the additional 1,332 gallons per day and waive the fee for gym participants of $4,920.
How's that?
Perfect. Thank you.
That's their total gallonage that they'll be paying on with the waive of that fee.
Virginia.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's why I came up.
Thank you.
Thanks, John.
Thanks, John. You ready? Thank you. And next up on the agenda is the Forest Service. The Forest Service to give an update on forest management projects and general updates. I believe Martina Barnes, the district ranger, is here with her crew. Welcome.
Should we sit here?
Sure.
Absolutely, yes.
Feel free to drag over another chair.
Another chair.
We're in the hot
You're on the
seat.
firing line.
We got a map too. Yeah. Yeah, we've got a map. It's been a couple of years since I was here.
Well, you know what? It's better than before, okay? Because no one ever came before.
Well, we're glad to be here and
Welcome.
we're happy to come anytime. So my name is Martina Barnes. I'm the district ranger for the Manchester Ranger District. So I cover the southern half of the Green Mountain National Forest from approximately Route 4 near Killington down to the Massachusetts border, Pownell, Stamford area, including Wilmington, of course, which is why we're here. So I'll just do a real quick presentation and then hand it over to Steve and Stacy to talk about some of our ongoing projects. But I really just wanted to give you an update and leave you with a few pieces of paper. But essentially, wanted to also just let you know, you may have been hearing in the news about some of the changes happening with the Forest Service reorganization, and just wanted to reassure you that at the Ranger District local field level, which is where we operate, there really won't be any changes to how our projects are delivered. We're still actively involved in all of our communities with recreation, forest management projects, and fish and wildlife projects. So there are changes happening at our Washington office levels and our regional offices, but just in case you hear or asked, we are, however, short-staffed at the moment, so we are open to the public Mondays and Thursdays, and available throughout the work week for just appointments as needed, but we don't have a front desk person currently. So if you need services, please call and leave a message. So just that's sort of the public service announcement part of it. And then also wanted to leave with you too, we do have a website, obviously, and on the website we have our active projects, and I'll leave this with you, or I can leave it with Jessica before we leave, but it's called the quarterly proposed projects list. And so if you're ever curious to find out what the heck are you guys doing, you can go to that website, and it's organized by proposed and completed projects. And so you can search depending on the NEPA, or the National Environmental Policy Act. That's how we'll have to go through that for all of our projects, and it's organized by that. So this is the sort of what it looks like. It's called the quarterly proposed projects list, to keep you up to date about what's happening besides us coming here. And then we also generally send an update through, it's called the town report update. And I know you guys do your own town reports, but I'll leave this with you as well. And it just kind of highlights some of the work. But I wanted to turn it over to Steve to talk about a project that's specifically going to run through Wilmington, which is called and some of the other recreation projects that you might be interested in. And then Stacy can talk about some of the timber projects that we have ongoing and planned in and around the area. And then if there's any questions, but I can, yeah.
Good evening, Steve Phillip, Recreation Program Manager here on the district. Our main focus is to provide public access to the forest. Some of the opportunities that we're looking for, we're focused on multi-use trails, our dispersed recreation, hunting, fishing, kind of out in the backcountry along the Appalachian Trail, and then more of our developed sites like the Somerset campground, or some of our campgrounds that have fall toilets. But anything from snowmobiling, mountain biking, anything that can bring dollars into the state. But this Belmont Trail, I'll speak to that. So the analysis has been completed, and it's a 70-mile proposal on the south half of the forest. Up on the Rochester district, it's already under construction, but this year we're actually starting to break ground. But from Haystack down to Route 9 is a new section. We'll leave all of the maps of all the different segments, but basically it's similar to the Long Trail or the Catamount Trail, which is long distance, hut to hut. The Long Trail is for hiking, Catamount Trail is for Nordic skiing and snowshoeing. This is specific to mountain bikes. Not everybody's going to be riding their bikes hut to hut, but the idea is to connect existing trail systems. So where it comes onto the forest, it'll then go through our Grout Pond Campground has a hut that's already constructed. It's operated under a special use permit from Vermont Huts, but basically they charge like a nightly fee for folks to recreate. But after Haystack Mountain, instead of utilizing existing roads and trails, which we had to do for a portion of the 70 miles just to try to keep costs down, but the section from Haystack to Route 9 on the forest will be like a new, mostly machine built. They're building them with mini excavators. I mean, it ends up being a pretty small width of the trail, but for the users, they really like the flow, the berms, kind of that feel of going downhill, climbing back up, that type of thing. So it'll be a very well-built trail. When it hits Route 9 is where it'll cross onto non-forest land, and then it's going to run on the west side of the reservoir and then continue down to the Mass border. But the idea, our partners are the Vermont Mountain Bike Association and Vermont Huts, and then each local bike chapter, similar to VAST and the snowmobile chapters, will be maintaining, doing a lot of brushing. After the trail gets constructed, obviously there'll be maintenance when like some erosion after storm events occurs. So we really rely pretty heavily on our trail partners for upkeep. And that was something that we had to figure out before we decided to add 70 new miles of trail to the district. This is going to help us take care of it while we're short staffed. But it should, after Stratton, there's a few other resorts, Mount Snow is one of them. So that will draw folks in that could potentially be there to do the downhill biking with the lift, like chairlifts in the summertime. They're after like diversifying some of their activities. So they see a draw to have folks that will, do more of trail riding and not just gravity type sports. So yeah, I think it's going to be a great benefit to the area. Let me know if you have any questions. There's smaller maps and then there's a bigger map of the proposal. But yeah, it's highlighted here.
We'll leave all these with you.
It'll be open for hiking as well. You usually try to get multi-use out of the trail, so it's just not really one type of use, but it won't be a motorized use trail. It won't be open for ATVs, that type of thing. So we do have some ATVs.
No motorization, correct?
No,
Okay.
yeah, just mountain bikes and hiking yeah.
And that currently we have a no e-bike policy. That may change as they've rescinded some of the language about our motorized use, but currently it's proposed as no e-bikes.
Okay.
Any questions?
Can we have copies of the smaller map?
Oh, yeah,
I'll
you're
leave
gonna
these with you.
Yeah.
The last one, section 11, is your section, but it shows its route all the way from Dorset, all the way down.
You're leaving that one as well?
Yeah. and-
Yeah, I was just gonna hold it, because there's a timber sale that Stacy might speak to.
Yeah.
Do they have any more questions for you?
I've forgotten the name of the engineer who I was talking with, but it's been a while in terms of the section that goes around the perimeter of our lake for water purposes.
Different magnification.
Is this Forest Service engineer or private?
It was someone working for Vellamont, and I just
Yeah,
forgotten the name.
Cricket?
No.
No.
This is the
But I haven't heard from anybody in a while to confirm that what my water operator and I talked about was actually put in place to avoid our perimeter and to give us some continued protection within the lake up in that area.
Okay.
There was a change that we asked for, and I hadn't heard whether that was
But it was
confirmed or not.
in connection with the Velmont project?
It was a Velmont project. I'd
Was
have
it south of Route 9? Where it's on the reservoir or north of Route 9?
And this is right here.
And it's north of Route 9,
Okay.
and it's in the section that goes around our lake.
Well, we can reach out to them and,
Okay,
Um,
make sure we follow it.
yeah,
We've made a lot of adjustments to the line as we've run into, whatever significant resources that need to be avoided.
Yeah, it's in between the glebe lands, your land, and
okay,
the water.
Okay.
okay,
The water.
Um,
reservoir.
Yeah, our reservoir.
okay.
Well, it's the Ridge Trail thing that really sticks out to me. I think for years, people wanted to open that up. Nobody ever did that, or never quite got to it, I guess.
The Deerfield Bridge.
The
Well, I think locally, they were trying to do that for a long time, a long period of time.
Yeah, and there's a fair amount because there's large, very wet sections up
Are there?
there. So there's gonna be some relocation to avoid some of that really swampy area or, that we're still working through those details. But yeah, that'll be part of the Belmont Trail
Okay.
eventually.
I mean, our point was source protection, of course.
It hasn't been constructed yet, so it
Yeah.
still needs to
That's,
adjust.
Yeah, yeah.
When we did our environmental reviews, we tried to have like a 30-meter buffer on each side of the line that was reviewed and cleared in case we run into something where it needs to bump one direction or another. And putting it on a map and putting a flag line out in the woods, once you get out there and start to construct it, things change. You run into a side hill steep or some, a water table issue, something like that. So we have a little room for adjustments with on-site construction.
so do you have to do this in coordination with A&R? We
We're
don't.
exempt from
No,
state
yeah,
permits.
we deal with A&R. We know
Yeah.
A&R. Okay, so I was gonna say that'll never get done at that point, but okay.
It just
Thank
can't,
you.
it's been a while, I just can't. find it.
Yeah, I think I have your email, so we'll look into it and get back to you. Yeah. Stacy, you wanna give us timber update?
Sure. My name is Stacy Stratton. I'm the timber manager on the Manchester Ranger District. In this area, we really have a future sale, and it's off Heatherbrook Road. That's the name of the sale, and it's out quite a ways. And then that's the Medberry sale, which is across the river. It'll be behind the Great River Hydro, one of their gates over there. Very small sale, looks like a lot, but that's like the area that we around it. So I think it's only like 60 acres. So that's pretty much all that's here for right now. And as part of that, there'll be like Heatherbrook, that road will get improved because it keeps washing out. It's kind of a steep hill, and there's always something down on the road. But it's not a high maintenance road, so we don't get down here that much to work on it. But that's a great thing about timber sales. It fixes up all these roads, puts culverts back in, reestablishes drainage, because that was harvested, I think, in that area in the 90s, maybe. If you come down 9, you'll see on the hillside, the young growth there. So it's going back in that area to do some more management and then working on what was there. So the Medberry sale is part of the early successional habitat, and it's not a timber emphasis project, it's wildlife. But we're trying to make some temporary openings for the wildlife, like migratory songbirds, as one. Other wildlife needs its opening too. But when we harvest those trees for the songbird, now I have a product to sell. That's why it turns into a timber sale, but it was not designed for timber, it was designed for wildlife.
So have you cut in there lately?
I'm sorry, what's that?
Have you cut in there lately?
No.
So that's been the power company that's been
Yep,
cutting.
it's in the
there.
tower company.
Okay, all right.
How many acres in the Midbury?
I think it's about 60, but it looks a lot bigger because what I do is I draw, around like, that big area, and that's stuff that so within that area by policy, I can use the money from the timber sale to do things. Usually it's a quarter mile. That's probably pretty generous there. That's a great thing about timber sales. That almost all stays on the forest. Very little goes back to the federal government, like 25 cents. I'll say we do cubic feet, but I'll just say 25 cents a cord actually goes back to the treasury. The rest of it stays here to do forest management or other projects.
Okay.
But we haven't been in Wilmington for, to do anything. And we do have some future sales up near Haystack. But that's not even on my 5-year plan. That's way out there. So what I have here is I do have a 5-year plan that I'd like to leave. So you can look at across our district and the forest, and it has the town and the project. And we have a timber sale announcement. It's called Boy Blue, and it's near the Somerset Reservoir. It's the Bailey Road that runs up the east side. It's part of Corridor 7, and off from Forest Road 71, which is also Corridor 7. I'd like to leave an advertisement here in case you have anybody that's interested in not just purchasing and sale, but like curious about what we're selling.
Okay.
And if you know anybody that's looking to purchase, please have them contact Martina through, and I can get it through me. I can put them on a list.
Very good. Thank you.
Yeah, so we'll leave you this stuff. So any questions for us?
No, we're just very happy that you check in with us every once in a while. You're still alive.
Yeah, we are. I know it's a little bit of a way,
No,
but
here, just if you give it, thank you.
thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Sure.
Next up is the Wyndham Regional Commission, the WRC. Chris Campney is here, Executive Director, to update the Select Board on their regional plan. Chris was taking the time to come visit us, and I think you might be sharing the screen at the same time.
I've got some handouts I'm giving to you now. I hand it to you.
Oh, okay.
Here she comes. She's in charge of it.
Yeah. Thank you.
Can I get share permission, or is that?
You don't need permission.
Oh, okay. There we go. All right. Tell me when you're ready. Ready?
You're ready.
All right, I'm Chris Campany, Executive Director of the Wyndham Regional Commission. We serve 27 towns in southeast Vermont, all 23 towns in Wyndham County, Greensboro, Searsburg, and Winhall, in Bennington County, and Weston and Windsor County. You have 2 town-appointed commissioners, Ann Manwaring and Bob Boyce. And also, I'll just note our Citizen Interest Commissioner, which the commission itself appoints for community development, is Gretchen Haverluck. So you're well represented on the commission. What I'm going to talk, our mission is to work with towns to help them provide effective local governance and to work collaboratively with our towns on regional issues. What I'm going to talk to you about tonight is the regional plan update that's driven by Act 181. So what is the Wyndham Regional Plan? So it's very much like a town plan, but think about the regional plan is up about like 30,000 feet, whereas the town plan is down more like 5,000, 10,000 feet. It's the policy basis for all WRC actions and our work program priorities. When we are participating in an Act 250 process or a Section 248 or 248A process, it's the policies within the plan that guide the commissioners in their consideration of projects that come before us. And we are advisory only. We are ostensibly a party among parties in Act 250 and Section 248, just like a town. So when you're in an Act 250 application that comes up, the town gets noticed when the regional commission and other parties get noticed. We have the same standing as the other parties in that. Now, what Act 181 does, it makes major changes to Vermont's land use planning and regulatory requirements. The most significant for the regional commissions is that it establishes the same land use, future land use designations across all the regional commissions. So that way, from the bottom up, the state will be able to stitch together all the regional future land use maps and have a statewide future land use map. And these are really kind of aspirational. The other thing is it streamlines the state designation program. This is like downtown designation, village center designation, to where towns won't have to keep updating that every time they update their town plan and asking for designation. And then, of course, there's the Act 250 jurisdiction. And that, from the regional plan perspective, there's been a lot in the press about, you know, the road rule and tier 3 doesn't have anything to do with the regional plan. And those are getting spiked. It looks like those are going to get repealed anyway.
Yeah, I heard, yeah, we saw that this week. Yeah.
Yeah. So the most important thing from a jurisdictional perspective when it comes to Act 250, and what that means is, when a project either has to apply for Act 250 is required to go, is going to fall under Act 250 jurisdiction, or potentially Act 250 jurisdiction can be waived. In Act 181, there are what are called Tier 1A and Tier 1B areas, through which if a town asks for that and they qualify for it, home development projects that are either 50 units or less on 10 acres or less can be exempted from Act 250. So that's the carrot. Now I'll get into the Wilmington context here in a minute. There's also been some confusion, and I'll get into the land use categories here in just a second. There are areas in the regional plan mapped as rural conservation. These are not the same as Tier 3, and these areas don't have to be conserved. And they're not to be used to map Tier 3 areas, but like I said, it looks like Tier 3 is getting repealed anyway. So if it's helpful, I would quit talking about Tier 3 and road rules, since that appears to have gone away and made life less complicated. And by the way, regional future land use map is not regulatory, and it does not impact municipal land use regulations. So there's some questions like, would the regional plan affect if I want to build a house on my property? No. Your town zoning has way more effect than anything that the regional plan would do. These are the new consistent regional future land use areas. And the really nice thing for us, for the Wyndham Regional Commission, are these land use areas: downtown village centers, planned growth areas, village areas, transition and infill areas, resource-based recreation areas, enterprise areas, hamlet, rural general, rural agricultural and forestry, rural conservation, are ostensibly the same land use categories that we've had in the Wyndham Regional Plan since probably at least 1996. So whereas in a lot of regions, they had to make a lot of changes to their maps, and this is the Wilmington map, and you have a copy of the side-by-side comparison of our old pre-Act 181 map and the new, and the what we're proposing under Act 181. It really doesn't change much at all. Here they are side by side. So last July, the Wyndham Regional Commission did a major regional plan update, and you see the map there on the left. The Act 181 map using the new designations is the one on the right, and if you kind of squint, they look very similar. And everything in the Wyndham Regional Plan mapped area falls under what's called Tier 2. In other words, it's just a good old-fashioned Act 250 the way it's been for a long time. So no real changes. In Wilmington, you've got downtown centers. You have a downtown center, and so the nice thing under Act 181 is, again, you won't have to keep reapplying to that for the state. And then also there are what are called resource-based recreation areas. In our region, these are generally the ski resorts, and all it does is basically it recognizes that these resorts exist, and that there may be future growth in those areas. And then there's rural general, low-density residential areas, rural agricultural and forestry, blocks of forest and farmland that sustain resource industries, and rural conservation. None of these preclude building homes. Again, your zoning, your town plan and your zoning has way more effect on that than what the regional plan would ever impact. And I'll get into the Tier 1A and Tier 1B. I've already kind of covered this. So if Wilmington wanted to have tier one, to qualify for tier 1B or tier 1A, so that under tier 1B, it would mean that housing developments with 50 units or fewer on 10 acres or less would be exempted from Act 250. You would need river corridor bylaws and subdivision bylaws. Now, there's no rush to do this if that's something that you want to do. And one of the things in Act 325 that's kind of making its way through the legislature would make it very easy just to do a simple map amendment. So if at some point in the future you said, if we want to adopt subdivision regs and qualify for tier 1B, you'd be able to do that. And the other thing I'll note about river corridor bylaws, that's going to be outdated soon, because in 2028, the state's going to take over regulation of river corridors. So you won't need river corridor bylaws. So that's something to think about for the future. Under tier 1A, if you meet those qualifications, what that would do is allow it would allow the area map within tier 1A to be exempt from Act 250 altogether. Just the town zoning would control. And to my mind, that may be something that Wilmington may really want to explore, to get Act 250 out of your jurisdiction. What I wish they would do in my perfect world is for towns that qualify for tier 1A is just allow the town zoning to apply to the town as a whole and not worry about Act 250 within the town boundaries anymore. But that's not what the law says. It's a specific area that would qualify for tier 1A, and Act 250 would go away in that area. Right now, the only town in our region that really qualifies for that is Brattleboro. And they've been arguing for that for years. So just briefly, the role of the regional plan and when the regional commission, the regional plan and the Wyndham Regional Commission's Act 250 applications. By law, the regional plan sets a standard by which we evaluate projects for substantial regional impact. And there's language here that talks about what does that mean. So projects of substantial regional impact are those that require regional resources, services, facilities, or that because of their size, location, or type will benefit the region as a whole, be necessary to the well-being of the region, be responsible for impacts to regional resources, services, or facilities, be located outside the region but affected in some manner, affect more than one town, continue to cause ongoing concern to the region or its communities, or have cumulative regional impacts as a result of multiple projects or ongoing development. And so there are very few Act 250 projects that come around that are deemed that our project review committee and the commission would determine to be have substantial regional impact. So all the Act 250 applications that you guys see, all the administrative permits and all those things that the town might want to weigh in on, we get all those too. But generally speaking, the ones that we really engage in are the big ones, and that would be more like a resort scale type development or a major quarry or something like that, where you're going to generate a lot of truck traffic or a lot of vehicular traffic and have some significant impacts. And the last thing, Act 181 they established statewide housing targets, which then translated into regional housing targets. And then we were tasked by the state to identify, to basically say, looking at town infrastructure, town zoning and other requirements, how might those housing targets be met throughout the region on a town by town by town basis? One thing I'll note, because there's been a lot of confusion around this, that does not mean a town has to do anything about housing. It's still within a town's ability and right to choose to do planning or not, to choose to adopt zoning or not, to choose to support housing or not. So basically, it's a helpful exercise in that the state did identify what the housing targets are going to be statewide and what that might look like at a regional level. And then we kind of broke it down on what it might look like on a town by town level. But that's really what it is. It's kind of like it's an exercise to say, in order to hit the statewide housing targets of like 30,000 units by 2030, this is what this is going to look like. Obviously, the state is not going to hit the housing target of 30,000 units by 2030. But for Wilmington, the proposed the targets were by 2030. The lower number was 182 units. upper number 264, and by 2050, lower numbers 566, upper 1107. To reach the 2050 goal, for context, that means approximately 22 to 44 new housing units per year. And that's really all that means. The town doesn't have to do anything about that. It's just, that's what that might look like in order to hit a housing target. And so where are we at on this? We are hoping to submit a draft regional plan update to the state, the Land Use Review Board, by early June. Then the Land Use Review Board is going to give us a lot of comments back. Any comments they make that would have an effect on a specific town, we'll be bringing that back to the town to say, this is what the Land Use Review Board says. This is what we think about that. What do you think about that? And then we'll determine whether or not any changes need to be made to that draft. And then around sometime in November or early December, the full commission would vote. We would also then have more public meetings, public hearings, then the commission would adopt a plan, an updated plan, like I say, in November or December. And then the Land Use Review Board has to make a determination about whether or not it's approved by spring of 2020. And that is what I have.
Let me ask you, just so that you're aware, I sent in numerous letters up to Montpelier to get rid of the entire Act 181. I see no benefit to 181. It's poorly written and should be rewritten, but you know, they were going to take pieces of it out, which I thought was kind of crazy. Anyway, we're in the midst of writing updating our town report. Obviously, it's due in October this year.
Town plan?
Town plan, I'm sorry. And Matt, in fact, I believe Matt's been helping out with that.
Sue West, yeah.
So what I'm saying is, with all of this new information, do we incorporate this in? Do we mandate it to do any of this?
No changes at all.
We're about halfway through on the report. In fact, I think we're going to get an update here probably within the next few weeks. But you know yourself how long it takes to do these town reports. And I know John Bennett had helped us, I don't know, 12, 15 years ago. I remember going through with him. And it's been very helpful, don't get me wrong. And of course, then getting it approved. But with all of this that's coming down with 181, and plus the fact, I know we keep thinking that tier 3 is going to disappear, but until it does, see, I don't trust Montpelier. Okay, I don't want to be the doubting Thomas here, but I will be. That really would crush our area, the tier 3. So I just want to know how much leeway we're supposed to use or utilize when we're putting the town plan back together again. I know we have to submit it over to you folks. Okay, before it goes up.
You don't have to. So it has no effect on your town plan at all.
Okay.
The main effect it would have on the town is if you want to consider especially tier 1B status, whether or not you want to adopt subdivision regulations at some point. I wouldn't worry about the river corridor regs. I know you've made a couple of runs at that, and the state's going to take over the regulation of that anyway.
They keep on encroaching on us. I know that. But anyway, we have a situation right now that's in court. And the gentleman said that he read the whole tier 1 and says he doesn't even have to come to us. He can just do whatever he wants to do because this is where the misinformation goes.
Yeah, it doesn't exist yet.
Yeah.
The other thing is just for clarity, towns can choose to have their plans approved by the regional commission. Right. You don't have to. And the only thing what right now, what regional approval of a town plan gets you is access to historic district tax credits in your designated downtown. That's the primary thing that it has no effect on your standing in Act 250 or Section 248. It doesn't affect what your rules and regs are. It does if you have an what's called an enhanced energy element. This goes back to Act 174. If you have an enhanced energy element, it gives you substantial and that requires regional approval. That gives you substantial deference in Section 248 with renewable energy development, as opposed to due consideration. And apparently it is somewhat meaningful. So that's the only impact that asking for regional plan approval has. And Wilmington's, I mean, it's never been an issue. The main thing that we look for when a town asks for regional approval of their town plan is to make sure that it doesn't conflict with adjoining towns and it doesn't conflict with the regional plan. And the regional, when we develop the regional plan land use maps, we look at the town plan and the town plan map. So that goes into our deliberation too. And so we've never, in my tenure in 16 years, we've never gotten sideways with the town when it came down for approval, because we've been talking to them for, for years anyway.
Well, it's kind of like a test run though, too. If you guys are okay with it, then I will submit it to them.
Well, you don't have to, there's no approval for a town plan in Montpelier. There's no, towns can still adopt whatever plan they want to.
Okay.
Towns can adopt the plan, frankly, don't even meet the state planning goals. You can't get regional approval because we have to make sure that they meet the planning goals. But again, the stakes are very low there. All you get are historic, it would impact your ability to access some grants, historic district tax credits and municipal planning grants and other things. But but life would go on and you can still pretty much adopt whatever you want to adopt.
Okay.
But you're saying the housing numbers, the housing targets are aspirational?
Yep, totally. Like I say, it was a useful exercise, I think, just to kind of say what would 30,000 housing units look like in Vermont and how might they be distributed across the landscape? But there's no teeth there. Yep. Any other questions?
No, I think you just filled us full of stuff here. We're all going to be good.
Well, I hope it's good stuff. All right. Well, feel free to reach out. I'd like to, and Sue West is she's our associate director. She's worked with you on your town plan update, so you can always feed stuff to us through her too.
I'm sorry. Question?
Yeah, I was just wondering, when you guys pick projects and stuff, you look at the impact, what the biggest impact. How do you know what the source of the impact is? And how do you decide? And when you make a town plan, do you try other ways of compensation?
We don't make town plans. And we don't make projects. We support towns in developing their projects.
I'm just saying, you were saying like when you figure out what to do certain things that impacted, what you feel like it impacted, or whatever. I'm just wondering, how do you just decipher what made the impact or, where it came from?
Yeah, I mean, we actually, unlike a county government, so like I work in other states, we had county government, we had county water and sewer, we had county roads, and all that stuff. We don't have anything. We don't even own our office. We run a copy machine, so we can't, it's all towns that can do stuff. So it's kind of a fascinating place in that we have a plan, we spend all this time on it, but it's basically advisory and aspiration.
So is that like a question for you guys then? That's the question for you guys, like projects.
You're talking about the Act 250 projects?
Yeah.
Whether, I think that's what she's asking. You have a slide that said on the Act 250 projects, you guys determine if it has a regional impact.
Yeah.
I think that's what she's asking.
Got it. Okay, so they're not our project, they're some private developer. And so we're looking at things like traffic studies and stormwater runoffs and impact on wetlands.
And groundstrips and stuff.
Yeah.
I was just wondering about those too, like how do you, how do you check them out? I just feel like how do you turn off certain litigation and things like that?
Yeah, all we can do is, just like with the town, we can offer opinions to the district environmental commission.
Yeah.
But then they interpret our plan.
Okay.
We don't issue any permits.
I'm just curious, only because I was just wondering about and so I just figured out. I just wanted to know
the rubber bands.
If anyone ever had anything to about me, they could just tell me. I don't want to spend any money on it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Which we don't see you very often, but when you come, you're full of information.
I'm full of it, aren't I? Yeah. I'm always happy to come too, so let me know.
Well, thanks for making the trip. Appreciate it.
Yeah, they said that today was the last day to turn, to call in about this project. The next, the last day, the natural resources thing, like, calling it was it was on the outside of your building, the paper. It said today was the last day on a certain contract you had with natural resources. And I had called there.
Sure, contract that we had?
I was on the outside.
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm sure there
There's
was.
solid waste, I think, or something. I can look it up. There was natural resources and.
There's usually an email to respond to or something.
Yeah, I just had seen it there. It said like call in if you have a problem with the rules. And I was trying to was all there. I hadn't told all the wrong things, but I don't know. I just wondered how to resolve something like that. I mean, I don't know, I didn't know when I learned how it's done, but I wanted to figure out what would be the way to go about it, but really be harmful or speculative and sort of thing. I don't really know how to do it. I just am kind of going around wherever I can, but if it's not the right place, I want to know what the right place is, because I don't want to hold the wrong.
If there's an email address that's on the post,
Yeah.
I would go to that one first, and they'll give you the procedures on how things would proceed.
But if you guys had a problem with it, and you wanted me to do anything, that's part of the town, you just tell me.
I'm not gonna help you.
You don't need to say anything.
I have no idea.
Okay, I know there's
No.
a traffic study
It's not
zoning.
your
I was wondering, do we have to deal with that whole, we have to do it every 3 years with that zoning thing, with the traffic security thing? Because of what, I thought it was like, that's where quality left and stuff, like those people left because it wasn't rezoned. And it's very like, you know, it's very. kind of-
They left because of what?
Well, they had called to try to get everyone to slow down the road, but then they didn't change the zoning, change the zoning map, the temporary zoning of the, you know, the transportation security thing.
Oh, that I don't know. I'm not aware
I
of
was just
that.
wondering if there is anything like that. I would be willing to do anything you guys wanted me to do to figure out how to resolve it. I just wouldn't have known there was any problem. Coming with anybody else.
Okay. All right. All right.
Would you like to go into liquor?
Yes, I'm gonna make a motion, although of course we don't have Tony here right now.
Be right back.
We will make a motion to go into the liquor commission, is that right? Chris?
Yep, let's do that.
We have a whole bunch here tonight. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Looks like Charlie's gonna be busy.
Well, he comes back.
Chief, thanks for bringing your newer folks in.
Yeah, we were gonna have Carmella, our new social worker too, but she got stuck out when we were working last night. Couldn't stay there 2 minutes tomorrow.
Right.
I'll get her in next week.
So he has his clinician back.
Yes, I understand that.
Yep.
The gentleman, did he go, is he still in Brattleboro?
He built the program in Brattleboro, so he came here, started with us.
Right.
Went to Brattleboro, they now, I think, have 3 PSW.
Do they?
Working for him. He actually, Knowles is a supervisor now for Wyndham County.
Good for him.
So he supervises the PSWs that are at the barracks, the state police, Bellows Falls, I think has one now. Or actually, they've had one for a while. Yeah. He says, well, we see him once.
Most of them, I think, would be extremely busy right now. What the need is amazing.
The rural need is,
Well, you know, it's funny, we had, on the regional plan, they literally have identified new areas in our community, you know, this, rural agricultural and forestry. I mean, we've never had this before. There's a number of things that they've added to it. I think that was the concern, that maybe we would have to incorporate this stuff. We don't. So that's a good move. Well, Tony, thank goodness you're back. We'll hold you. I make a motion to go into the liquor commission.
Second.
All right, we have a motion to go into the liquor commission in a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, Scott?
The Liquor Commission to possibly approve a special event and open container ordinance exemption permit for W.I. Foster on May the 21st, July the 9th, August the 25th, October the 10th, and December the 10th for events at Memorial Hall. A special event permit for an event on Fairview Avenue on June the 6th, 2026 from 2 to 8 p.m. catered by W.I. Foster. A request to cater an open container ordinance exemption permit for W.I. Foster on June the 13th at Pickwell's Barn from 5 to 7 p.m. A first and third class renewal for W.I. Foster LLC and an outside consumption renewal for Valley Craft Ales.
Let me ask you one question real quick. The Fairview Avenue, is that a private home?
Yep.
It is, okay, all right. I just didn't see that as a destination, that's all. All right, and so we do the other one, the request to cater. The other one's one at the top, Scott.
That's,
Those are already added
that's
in
a
there.
good,
All right, okay,
yes.
all right, fine, all right. Hey, folks, we're not gonna read all these again.
So moved as written and read.
Okay,
Second.
And second, okay, motion second to approve all of these renewals and exemptions as written. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And Chief, you've checked all of these, I'm sure. Okay. All right, Scott, other business.
I don't have anything more.
All right, Tony, anything new?
No, sir. Thank you, sir.
That's it?
No.
No, I'm sure, what's this?
Excuse me, could I say something just for a second before you, I need to talk to you and him at the same time, the chief. I came off Searsburg yesterday coming home, right?
Yeah,
A trailer, mobile home, single wide, came down the hill,
okay.
that's behind me. They're doing 70 miles an hour down through all the way to almost where Viola's farm is. Now, he ran out the road a couple times with the trailer up in Woodford because it's really rough on the inside corners. And I thought he was gonna dump the trailer while he's flying through there. He's going 55, 60 miles an hour. And I know, I've been watching your meetings all winter long here. On the internet, thank God for that. But yeah, I know you've been talking a little bit about it, but it was something I saw yesterday. And it just scared me to Jesus. I thought he was in front of me when he hit that soft shoulder. I thought I had a trailer on me. So it was like, this guy's going faster than I'm going.
Jay, do you know about what time yesterday?
When I ran you, when I drove by. So I would say probably like noon time or so.
Okay. Because they all have to call ahead. So we'll actually know.
Okay, good.
We would really like to charge each one of them $100 to come through town. I'm very serious.
Oh,
It's brutal the way they come in.
Well, they were doing a pole work out here, and he had to stop the trailer because, I don't know, there was a Coleman road, and didn't want to get it by the liquor store somewhere around there. So we sat there for probably 5 minutes waiting for the house to move. And then he took right through off through town again.
It'll be interesting when the bridge is taken out, isn't it? It'll be interesting when the bridge is taken out.
Well, that's what I was thinking. I'm gonna find out.
Oh, yeah, wow, it's in fact, it was like 82, 81, 82. One of them fell off the trailer right there at Blue Hill. If you remember, it just slid right off and went into a million pieces.
So it was a modular.
A what?
Modular would slide.
Oh, yeah. And the only reason I remember it very clearly is I was an adjuster at that time. And I had to go out and go, and we had to find somebody to take the salvage, which we found somebody very quickly to take. And the company was very upset with it, even though they got paid for their building. They wanted both, and it doesn't work that way.
Well, last year I made a comment about the detouring in the town when the bridge comes across. And my understanding was that the state only detours on state roads. Okay,
Right.
correct? Okay. So let's detour Wilmington. No, for the tractor trailer trucks and them, until that bridge is replaced, because we're gonna have backed up on both sides of this road for who knows how far down.
No, there'll be a plan in place for all that.
Well, okay, I'm just saying that I know all the detour problems, the issues,
Yeah.
and I saw that tractor the other day bring that house down yesterday. It's like, this guy's flying. He left me. I was doing 70. By the time he hit the bottom of that pitch, he was, I don't know, probably 80.
You don't know who to like.
No. And his follow car wasn't staying, which irritated me because nobody knows it's coming. You know, he's driving down the road somewhere and a trailer doing its own thing.
Oh, and some of them are wider than others though, too. That's the other thing. It's
Well, this
amazing.
is a single wide.
Was
I
it?
mean, he takes up most of the road. The only time his tandem is on the double yellow line is in the corner. And that's when the oncoming car, what's that little inn on the sharp corner over here?
Not right.
Nutmeg. He ran a car up onto Van.
There's no room.
Oh, I know.
There's no room for that house and a car. There's no way.
And this is the issue. I mean, I know they have to come here. I don't know. They can't go on the Mass Pike or something. That's why they're using.
Well, they could, well, right now, the bridge is still under construction, I think, in Reedsboro. You take Route 8 down. So that's the way they will detour those trucks when they do the bridge construction, be Route 8 down to 100.
Yep.
That's
Back
not
around.
That's supposed to be for another 3 years, I've heard.
That bridge.
Yeah, about this project here. won't
Just
start
in
for another
time.
3 years anyway. That's if they have the money. Yeah, but yeah, it's difficult. It's a difficult situation.
Would you like to do select board member comments?
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm done. I don't have nothing that you feel you want to hear. All right, so now we want the town manager's update. How's that?
Oh, no more comments? Okay. So I received a note from Jamie Roy, who is one of the engineers for VHB on Bridge number 31 project. They have officially kicked off their preliminary design. And as part of the preliminary design, they have geotechnical engineering subconsultant that will be on site soon conducting their geotechnical investigations. That includes borings and geophysical testing, whatever that is. So likely require some traffic control and lane closures to complete the work. They currently plan to start the week of May the 18th. And they have a couple of people listed here as a lead geotechnical engineer. And then the engineer sent me basically a note indicating proposed boring locations and what their plan is. So they will be communicating with us, and they'll have their sub-consultant on site this Friday, the 8th. Tax sale, we are delaying our tax sale this year. It usually is at the end of, or middle to the end of June. And because the legislature changed the way that we can do tax sales, we will probably try to have a tax sale sometime between September and October.
Unbelievable.
And there's legal reasons for all that.
Yeah.
Under the new law, we were required.
On that tax sale, there was only very few properties this time, right? Enormously limited, kind of small number.
Well, yeah, because the legislature created a category that we could not take to tax sale anymore. There's a dollar amount, and then we have to provide payment plans ahead of time. We've always asked in our notices if people wanted payment plans in order to avoid tax sale, and most people did. Right. But the legislature, in their wisdom, based on I think one example that somebody there was a town that tried to sell a person's house twice. Something, I don't know. It's very confusing to me. At any rate, we have to now, instead of asking the people, what can you afford and how can we make this work? We now have to give them the plan up front. They don't really have any negotiating power. So our plan basically is try to get try to get the town caught up within a year.
Okay.
And so we extend the tax sale plan, their payment plan that year, but it's really more confusing than it needs to be. And the legislature stepped in and made some changes which don't always make sense. So for instance, you can't take someone to tax sale unless they have a minimum of $1,500. Oh, so we have a lot of land. You see where I'm going with that, right?
I do.
I'd like to say that I believe this is annual municipal clerks week, the week of May 4th to the 9th. It is the 57th annual professional municipal clerks week. It was initiated in 1969 by the International Institute of Municipal Clerks and endorsed by all of its members throughout the United States, Canada, and 15 other countries. This week is a time of celebration and reflection on the importance of the clerk's office And in 1984, President Ronald Reagan signed a proclamation that officially declared Municipal Clerks Week the first week of May. In 1994 and 1996, President Bill Clinton also signed proclamations confirming Municipal Clerks Week. Congratulations, Therese. Thank you goes out to the fire department, Chief Moore, the police department, I believe it was Officer Corporal Karsich. Wastewater department, Chief Lizelle, Town Hall, which is our Sarah Coachella, and there may have been others who participated in the April 29th Fearless Futures Career and College Fair at Twin Valley Middle High School in Whitingham, and they had booths and students come in, and it's pretty good. It's usually a pretty good showing, and they have to. It's a program that is also supported by BDCC. And
It's put on by BDCC.
yeah, it's actually put on by Christy Beatty runs it. So say again.
Pipelines and pathways.
There you go.
Pipelines and pathways,
Yep.
yeah.
It's a mandated class at the school.
Yeah, so they come in, they have to ask questions, they have to get things stamped, they have to engage with as many of the booths and the individuals who are there to tell them about their jobs. The East Main Street Sidewalk Project, VHB engineer. A pre-construction conference was conducted on May the 4th at 10:30 a.m. Gretchen, John Lozelle, Alex, myself. There were AOT district representatives. Du Bois and King is our project manager. Chuck Goodling and Mark Ansar is the boots on the ground from them to oversee the project. Vermont AOT Scott Gurley, who basically oversees the grant that I think we got in 2016. And then the VHB design engineer Sierra Ford. The contractor for the project is Waters Excavation. They're represented by Nick Leclerc and Ted Mock. And the notice to proceed was issued by myself today. And we expect work to begin on May the 18th. And they anticipate being done by October the 15th. The sewer utility work is expected to begin first. Remember, we're replacing a sewer main out in front of several houses here. Now, the town will issue letters to all the abutters to let them know that we have begun, and the landowners affected by the new sewer main hookup will be notified by John Lozelle in person to discuss a packet that we're developing on how everything will work and what they are responsible for. The town is recommending that landowners contract with Waters Excavation for their portion of the hookup. And in terms of GMP and their grid resiliency program, work started on April the 27th on Boyd Hill Road. So we should expect some inconveniences when they're replacing culverts along the route. We got turned around the other day when we were up there.
Boy, you can't go down Boyd Hill, no.
Lake Raponda shoreline erosion control at Green Mountain Beach. Remember that this is a grant for design. Du Bois and King is the landscape engineer. Andrea Hayes working for them as the landscape architect. And they had the natural resources team, their natural resources team out on the site. They completed the wetlands delineation. It looks like we may need to submit a permit to the Army Corps of Engineers. And then she is told that this is due to new rules established as of March 15th of this year. So they're still finalizing the wetlands locations, the mean water level, and exactly how the proposed elements would be categorized. But she's given us a heads up that there may be an additional unexpected permit required. They do not anticipate any holdup on completing the 60% set prior to May 15th, the deadline for the grant application. And if the permit is required, they're confident that there will be no design changes at the Green Mountain Beach. We have our periodic inspection at the Lake Raponda Dam is coming up for May the 13th. And they're keeping that, I think it's at 10 a.m. Also, I contacted Ben Green from the DEC Dam Safety Engineer. And at this time, there are unfortunately few, if any, funding opportunities for dam rehabilitation. FEMA has a program for high hazard potential dams that is currently closed, and Lake Raponda would not qualify as it is a lower classification. There is a watershed grant program, and I reached out to this group called NRCS. He didn't think it would be a good fit, and it doesn't sound like there's any money there for us. We are in the process of setting up, this is the state, in the process of setting up a revolving loan fund for dams, which should be in place hopefully in 2027. It will be a priority and risk-based loans and limited dollars available, but hopefully it will help, is what he's saying. So essentially, unless you're tearing down a dam, there's really no help for towns, is what it comes down to. At Memorial Hall, GPI's work on the flood proofing was completed on April the 20th. The deck platform, if you haven't seen it, was completed by Jocelyn out of Bennington. Monument Electric and GMP, I believe, have finished their work, and GPI has identified a contractor for us because just made a few phone calls and we couldn't find anybody. They identified a contractor for us who can build and replace windows that are missing. I think there's 6 windows missing, and we need to have replacements there. So I'm awaiting their quote for those missing windows. So by the time we're done, everything Humpty Dumpty will be put back together again at a cost. And then after the painting is underway. CB is over there. I think I told you that last time. So I'm sure we will have some increase in cost there based on what they find. And I think I will save you from the rest. It's a relatively lengthy piece on Town Highway 59. We'll save that for another time. That's over by the mover. I think I mentioned it before that the trail committee wants that revert to a trail instead of a town highway, which is mowed, and I believe it's mowed and maintained by the mover currently.
You're talking that little stretch behind.
Yeah, I think it's
one of their
maintained
shops.
by the mover, right? Yeah, I think they mow it for us.
Well, yeah, I think
It's
so.
a town highway, but there's a lot to establishing a
They're not
trail.
actually, the state's not actually thinking of using that as a bypass, are they?
No, it's a
No,
trail
it's
committee.
it's
The
a
trail.
It could be, but we don't believe they're going in that direction because last time we talked to them, remember, we're going for the consolidated, 1 month, 2 month period. So they're not gonna build anything there.
Okay.
But it's still on their list as a possibility. So number one, it's a big change to change something from it would be a class 4 town highway to a trail. It's still a process, and it's not something. So they were interested because of some kind of a grant, but it's not a simple process. In terms of 220 Lake Raponda, I'm going to legal now. In terms of 220 Lake Raponda, the Oldfield residents, there was a hearing that was scheduled for April the 6th. It was postponed to April the 20th, and it was held. So I believe they're waiting for a decision on that one.
No, they continued it again.
Okay, so
They did?
They continued.
Yeah, they don't have their permit from the state.
Okay. So they heard them, but they did continue it, so I stand corrected. 140 Elwell Heights was Mr. Ziskowski. He likes to be called Ziggy. That was a win for the town. So the court decision is that the town prevailed in this case. And I have to say, besides the BCA doing their job, our thanks for the hard work on the part of Russ Bowden, our assessor, and Ed Adrian, our town attorney. So remember, the assessor valued the property at $568,000. The plaintiff, Ziggy, appealed this decision to the Board of Civil Authority. The appeal was denied on December the 4th, 2024. That decision was filed with the town clerk. The plaintiff filed a timely de novo review with the court. Remember that the CLA in 2024, the common level appraisal, was at 91.38%. The COD, the coefficient of dispersion, was at 18.23%. Has to be under 20, so it doesn't kick off on the appraisal for us. In 2020, the property was purchased for $380,000. That home was built in 1979, and the plaintiff's privately appraised value was $410,000. And when asked in court, the plaintiff was unwilling to say if he would actually sell his house for $410,000. Now, the court uses a two-step process to establish the correct value to the property, which is, number one, the fair market value. And the plaintiff did not present evidence that fairly and reasonably tends to show that his property was appraised at more than the fair market value by the town. Their evidence and testimony was neither persuasive nor reliable to the court. The second step strives to establish uniformity of taxation.
It's the same appraiser.
That was David.
What's that?
David Buckley was the
Yes.
president.
The second step strives to establish uniformity of taxation so that no taxpayer pays a disproportionate share of the public tax burden, which leads to equalization. Comparing all properties within the class of property to which the subject belongs. When the town submits the grand list of PVR, it is reasonable to rely on the CLA derived from statewide equalization studies. And that was basically the gist of the decision. We also went to trial with George Zeringer III at 21 Aldrich Road. We went to trial on April the 28th in Newfane at 9 a.m. and it lasted to about 3 p.m. Ed and Russ did a good job of presenting the town's case, and we await Judge Treadwell's decision. The proposed finding of facts from each side is due to the judge on May 28th from both parties. So we are hopeful that will turn up. We still have Mr. Silverstein on our sites, and he has not actually done any work that he needs to do for the court. In terms of the Claudette Wilson trustee at 323 Boyd Hill Road, they appealed the PV&R decision to the Supreme Court, and we just received the Wilson appeal brief to the Supreme Court. Ours is due in 30 days from May the 4th. So our town attorney, Ed, expects to have something in the next week or two for me to review. And what the Wilsons are essentially asking for is they want the case reheard. So they want it remanded back to PV&R because they intend to present their case again to PV&R the way the hearing officer outlined in his summary at the time of decision. That's the best I can do for you.
Well, they're not going to allow them to do that. Why would PVR hear that again?
And they want to actually take PV&R's prescription and apply it to their case. At any rate, remember I talked to you about JBRO, et cetera, versus HIREHC. And that's Donald and Savannah's JBRO that included the town in it. We should have heard back from their attorney, but it has not heard back from their attorney of record for the lawsuit as of today, which basically means we shouldn't be in this lawsuit, and they've told us we shouldn't be in this lawsuit, but they have not responded to that. That's all I got for you.
Just give us all the good news at the end.
We are moving.
Gentlemen, if nobody has anything else for the good of Wilmington, I will entertain a motion to adjourn. All right, motion to adjourn. How about a second?
Second.
All right, motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. I don't think we never heard anybody. vote
Happy
against that, do we?
Municipal Clerks Week.